Welcome to the Good Games Podcast, episode number 202. This is a show where we talk about video games and game-related things. My name is Frank from Manso, and I'm your host. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Alex Nunez. What's happening, man?
It's a pretty good coincidence that this numbered episode 202, because it feels like we're in the middle of Groundhog Day right now, Frank. How you doing?
Doing all right. And I'm sure a lot of people who are listeners get that reference because it feels like we're on a time loop. This is probably, I don't know how many attempts at this due to the weather.
Yeah. But how's the weather, by the way, Frank?
Pretty bad.
Yeah?
It's pretty bad out here, Alex. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is not working out. Like this is horrible out here.
Damn.
I'm just again remembering hail balls. Just hail balls. Hail the size of baseballs.
That's it's pretty scary. You said you had somebody in your area had sent you pictures where you had seen pictures of hail in your area.
Yep. They were literally holding a ball. Like it looked like a snowball. But
Jesus.
The caption on the post was, "This is hail." And I'm like, fuck that shit, dude. Like, are you crazy?
Oh man.
And then there was another picture of like him showing like all the hail balls on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like a group of baseballs just like lumped together. And I'm like, oh my God. So, and this was yesterday. Right now, I can only imagine.
Uh-huh.
Like what the hell? Like what else it's gonna bring tonight?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not so bad. Our warning is only up until I think 11 o'clock. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
But I mean, get this though. How is it that last night, right, while the storm is going on, it pretty much went on all night. How is it that I got woken up by lightning, not thunder?
What?
Yeah. Dude, I got woken up by lightning.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's how fucking bright and close it was. It's like, what? So, yeah, it's pretty bad. How are you holding up? Any crazy weather?
A little bit. Not as crazy as what you've been experiencing, it seems like. But I think around like last week, and I told you this already, but there was some like crazy ass thunderstorms where it was like literally lightning every 3 seconds, which is something I had not experienced before. It's just losing my mind, especially because I had to go outside and move my car that night. And I was like, God damn, this is unnatural. This is unholy. I don't feel good about being outside. I want to be inside where it's nice and safe, and I can't get hit by lightning.
Yeah, I wouldn't have even risked it. Like if it was that bad, man. That's just like I can move the car, see if I can wait the storm out as long as possible. And I'm like, what the fuck? The cops aren't going to come out here. The tow trucks aren't going to come out here. The street cleaners aren't going to come out here.
You never know. Got to get that money.
You never know, but still, it's like, come on, man. Have a heart. Have a heart, people. Let me ride.
Got quotas to meet, man.
Yeah, they do. But in any case, enough with the small talk. Let's talk about what we're here to talk about. Let's talk about the video games, because we've been playing some stuff, and I hope that the storm kind of just like settles down, because damn. So we're gonna talk about what we've been playing, and you're up first as usual. So what do you got for us this week?
So I got the same thing I got as last week to continue this Groundhog's Day theme that we've got going on. Just been playing more Destiny 2, the new Warmind expansion, and kind of slowly plugging away at that. I haven't been putting in as much time as I normally would in something like this, partially because the usual crew of people that I play with have not been playing recently, just I guess due to various factors. But yeah, I'm kind of going through it and trying to get some stuff and trying to slowly but surely increase my power level. But I don't know, I feel like the same about the game. There's a lot of shit that I want to criticize about it, that I want to point at it. I'm like, why did you do this? But there's, other things that are kind of cool and that make it fun to play and engage with all the different mechanics of the game. But, well, actually, speaking of the power level stuff, I don't know why they did this, but they seem to have introduced a way to, like, very harshly, artificially stop you from progressing your power level a lot in the game. So there is like a hard cap, or not a hard cap, a soft cap at level 340, which is only 5 levels above the previous max light level. And I think the cap for this expansion is 385. So there's a long road to get to the max level cap, and they stop you almost immediately from getting any kind of like power surge, which is it's never been this harsh before in Destiny. Like there was a pretty steady progression, but now it's like, all right, you've done the campaign pretty much, and all right, we're gonna stop you right here and make everything difficult from here on out. So you only have a finite, very finite amount of ways to get items above your level once you hit the 340 cap. But yeah, it's just an arduous task now to get up in power level, or to even like approach the level cap, which is the 385 number. Which I don't know, in a way, kind of gives people an incentive to play, because like, hey, I want to get my power level up, and the only way to get those numbers is to keep doing those weekly milestones. But I feel at the end of the day, it's just a short-term kind of band-aid on the bigger problem with Destiny, which is the gear that you get aside from power level, ain't really worth chasing. It's like the armor just feels pretty much just you're only getting them because of the aesthetics, not because of any like stat bonuses or perks attached to them, aside from exotics. But exotics are the only thing that have any kind of weird like perks or little mechanics associated with them, and because the rest of the legendary armor really doesn't have that, which is a shame. But here we are with Destiny 2. But I don't know, there's some other things that are kind of cool about the game. They introduced some there's like this little quest that you can do to get one of the new exotic swords in the game. And the way you do that is that throughout the new area on Mars, they've kind of littered around all these little, I guess they sort of look like holograms. And you have to find those holograms out in the world and shoot them. But some of them they have an elemental type associated with them, so you can only shoot those kinds of holograms with the same kind of elemental type. But yeah, these things are like kind of everywhere. There's 45 total. And if you get 35 of them in the world, you can get the exotic sword. But if you find all of them, you get a sparrow, which isn't as exciting as a new weapon. But that's a thing you can do if you are a collectomaniac. But it kind of encourages some exploration out in the world, which hasn't been a thing in Destiny, at least in Destiny 2 so far, because before you had like the dead ghosts in the first game that you can go around and collect, but you really didn't get anything out of them. But at least here, you get a snazzy new little sword that I think if you start sprinting and then use the sword, you like do a short teleport. But I don't know how useful that'll be in the long run. But hey, it's a cool thing, a cool new toy to play with. Other stuff they introduced, obviously the raid layer dropped, I think last Friday. People were very excited about that. And from what I've heard, I haven't done it myself yet, but people seem very happy about how the new raid layer turned out in terms of like the mechanical design and what you have to do to do the boss. It might be one of the best boss encounters for the raids so far. From what I'm seeing, it seems pretty complex and in what you have to do. But I guess the other problem, again, this is kind of like a short-term, like now problem, but I know a lot of people were having trouble completing it. I think primarily because of the power level thing, because I think the raid layer is a recommended 370 power level. And a lot of people were having trouble getting to 370 power or even 360 power in like less than a week, which is, I think the expansion dropped on a Tuesday and then the raid layer was opened up on Friday. So you had until then to kind of level up if you wanted to be like the first team to complete that raid layer. And I think the first team that completed it took them 7 hours from start to finish to complete the raid layer, which doesn't seem like a lot for like a full-on raid, but the raid layers are kind of like half of a raid. They're like baby raids in a way, just because there's less content than there would be in a full-on raid. But the power discrepancy, I think, held a lot of teams back or was causing a lot more problems. Which is fine, I guess, in the short term. But again, people are, trying to race to be the first to finish this. And I think because of that power level discrepancy, it was a lot harder to do because that power level wall that they set up is just so, it's not completely insurmountable, but it's damn close to it because, I don't think there's, usually when you hear these games, like these new like MMO type games or games that like let you level up and the expansion increases the power level cap, you hear about people reaching that cap in like no time. But that is not the case with this new expansion because I don't even know anybody that's like 380, let alone 385. There might be some people in like the high 370s or something, but that's probably the highest anyone's been able to get so far with that because things are that much harsher this go around. The other thing I wanted to mention, probably the last thing I'll mention, is that I don't know how I feel about this, and they kind of did this with the last expansion, the Curse of Osiris expansion, where they took one of that game's story missions, campaign missions, and kind of reused it as a strike. And they've done that. I don't know how many new strikes are in Warmind, but I do know 2 of those new strikes with this expansion are both story missions from the campaign, which doesn't feel great that they're doing that. Just because, I think primarily because of that precedent that's been set already in the first game, that all the strikes were like new experiences for the most part, completely separate from any of the campaigns. But now it's like, okay, we're just, I don't know if it's like a logistics thing, like they're trying to save some money or something in the budget. I don't know. We're just going to take the story stuff and make sure it works for a strike. And there are some like minor differences from like the story mode mission or the story mode version of that mission compared it to the strike version of that mission. But it's still like, it's the same thing. I'm like, oh, I've seen this stuff before. There's no new, like, sometimes the strikes have like some little snippets of side story or something. But yeah, I mean, this is basically the same thing we've seen before in the campaign. I don't know. It's a weird thing as a Destiny veteran to see that happen. Yeah.
Oh man, it sounds like this is a dead horse being beaten, like to death. But well, it's a past death because it's already dead. But I will say that Destiny is trying to keep. It seems like Destiny is trying to keep up with the Joneses, and it's kind of like, still trying to put out fresh new content.
Yeah.
For its player base, because obviously it's there for the fans, and I think they just want to stop messing up and start start revitalizing the game somehow.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much of it is out of the kindness of their hearts, because they are contractually obligated to put out a certain amount of expansions every year. Yeah. But still, I know their hearts are in the right place. They want to do good by the community, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that buy their games, and we're the ones that champion for the game. And if we don't want to play it, then who else will? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's just... Yeah, I'm still waiting for September. That's pretty much when it'll be the make or break moment for Destiny. I feel like this is you gotta nail this one. This has got to be it, because if you mess up in September, which is supposed to be like the big game changer, just because again more of just precedent, because that's how Taken King happened. It was like the big expansion after the 2 smaller expansions that weren't so good, and yeah, this has to be a make good. They have to nail this next expansion, because that'll be the final nail in the coffin, one way or the other, for this game, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Destiny 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's funny to think, like, wow, what game could have come and killed Destiny, and it's Destiny. Just murdered itself. It was an inside job.
Yeah.
It's fucked. I don't know. And there's some other like minor things I'm like not happy about. Like some things aren't like super clear. Like that new escalation protocol mode. It's just a thing out there in the world. It doesn't tell you like, oh, hey, if you kick this off, you're in for a world of hurt, because it doesn't tell you anything about like power level requirements. And if you just start out playing the game, even like now, like I'm at like I think I just hit 350 now, which it took almost 2 weeks to get there, which is, again, very crazy in this version of the game. But yeah, even now, like I've not finished the first wave of Escalation Protocol. I feel like you should be able to at least do the first wave, you know, and this is like with people around, but again, most people are around the same level, and it's just really hard if you don't have like a super coordinated team and super high level team. I know it's supposed to be end game content, but because it takes so long to even rank up, I feel like at least like maybe the first level, like you get something out of the Escalation Protocol just for doing the first level, but I haven't even been able to do the first level, which is bananas. And to be honest, I don't even know if you get anything from doing the first level of that Escalation Protocol, because again, they don't really tell you much about why you should be doing Escalation Protocol and how you get rewarded. But I don't know, here we are, more Destiny 2. I should stop talking about this game because it feels like such a downer every time I do. But yeah, I don't know, I don't want to talk about Destiny 2 anymore. What about you, man? What have you been playing?
Well, thank you for your thoughts on Destiny 2 this week. It's always appreciated, especially for Destiny fans out there who will listen. So, as for me, I've been playing a demo of a game. So, the demo or trial version of BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle came out last week, and it was available to people who had pre-ordered the game digitally, and with more available content to those specific people. But there was a caveat: if you have a Switch and you own a Switch, then you had the same benefits as the pre-ordered people did for free without pre-ordering any game. So,
okay.
So and you actually got to play it like a day earlier than the pre-order people with the Switch version. So I downloaded it on the Switch and I started playing it. And BlazBlue Cross Tag. So so the game right away gave you 20 characters to work with, which is a lot. And
do you know what the final cast count is going to be?
40.
Oh, okay.
40, yeah. So
that's a decent chunk.
Yeah. You know, the whole DLC fiasco that we discussed, where actually 50% of the cast is DLC, but they're going to sell the game like in packages, like, you know, you get the season pass, or you get all the characters and whatever. So it's basically like $1 a character if you buy like the full package. So it's not bad. Okay. And the full cost of the game would be like a regular cost, like a full cost of a regular game. But anyway. So the game starts you off with 20 characters, and the game is, well, all right, initially I'll say the game is fun. It's a lot of fun to play, but I will say it's not a game that is to be taken seriously until, like, you have to go through this like hurdle in a way, like this hurdle of like easiness and simplicity in order to actually get to the point where the game starts becoming deep. And even then, you really got to dig deep for you to find that intricacy with the game, because it has a lot of it.
Right.
So the way the game works, it's a tag game. So you can you use it's 2-on-2 game. You can tag characters in and out. And you can also use your secondary character as an assist, and your secondary character has 3 different assists. So I started playing around with like every character. The game is also simplified to like, it seems like, you know, people are complaining like, oh, the game's like dumbed down, and to a degree it kind of is, because again, everyone has the same moveset, a la Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Okay.
You know, forward fireball, backwards fireball. There's no Shoryuken motion. There's no half circle motion and nothing like that. So it's all what it is. So Yeah, like the game also has auto combos. It has 2 different auto combos for your light and medium attacks, just like Dragon Ball. The thing about this game, though, it's like the auto combos, you actually have to kind of like depend on them in order to like do stuff. And
oh, really?
Yeah. And Dragon Ball also relies on auto combos as an extension of certain things, but this game heavily relies on auto combos, like to the point where they become like super viable. And that you know, that's kind of like the whole like kind of like fun party feel that you kind of get from this game. Like, again, this isn't a game that you should really take seriously, I believe, but I will also say that the game's presentation is fantastic. It looks great. The music is great. I just wish it wasn't like basically like a sprite dump game. You know, like they didn't reanimate any of the characters from like the guest games, I should say, like Persona 4 and Unist. And the Ruby characters are like newly animated, so the Ruby characters look sharper than like all the other people. Even the BlazBlue people are like sprite dumps from the other games. You know,
right? So feels like this generation's CVS2.
Yeah, it does. It does, except not as intricate.
Right? Yeah,
you know, but. Yeah, like the Ruby characters are like super well animated, and it seems like they fit in this. But you could only use 2 of them at this time, because the other 8 Ruby characters are DLC. So
okay.
In any case, this was a beta demo, so you know it's giving people the opportunity to, you know, giving the developers the opportunity to see how it works out and test things out or whatever. But when I say this is the beta, this game is beta as fuck, dude. Like. It's fucking shenanigans, dude. Like, matches, I don't think matches go longer than 15, 20 seconds. Like, that is absolute max, dude. Like, the damage output is stupid. It's like you're in a match for like 4 or 5 seconds, and either you lose a character or you kill a character.
Jeez.
You know? So the damage output is dumb. And then you also have people using Gordeau, who is in Unist, and his range is out of this world, and you can't get close to the guy, and he just has insane priority. So you see a sea of him when you're playing the game online. And yes, you could play this beta online,
right?
And then there's not only that, but then there's the glitches that have already been exploited. So there are a lot of like nice little intricate systems in this game that you kind of have to get used to, but they're kind of easy to understand. So one of them is kind of like I think it's called Cross Assault, but I don't know if you remember Marvel vs. Capcom 1 for the Dreamcast, where you could do a Cross Assault and literally play with all 4 characters on the screen, or at the very least play with your 2 characters simultaneously, and they do the same things, like, you know. If you hit like if you did a magic series, both characters would do a magic series. If you did like supers, both characters would do their respective super with the motion that you input. So I think in this game it's also called Cross Assault, and there's a bit of a time limit where you can actually have both characters on the screen simultaneously, but the secondary character doesn't do what you do. The secondary character just keeps doing assists. There are 3 different assists to the other player, but the secondary character is completely invulnerable. So you had that for a limited time. So we thought. So there was a fucking glitch that was found already that had that not only could they bring the secondary character out indefinitely, they were still invulnerable, and they also reacted to all of your inputs as well.
Nice.
So basically, if you exploited that glitch, you can't lose. Like, you can't lose. It was something about like assisting and doing a certain move with your primary character at the same time. It kind of make the game freak out. And then in that state, the secondary character is still in there, and they can't be hit. And they're doing everything that you do because the game thinks that the secondary character is really in there. But no, it's really the primary character that's like able to receive like hitbox, hurtbox, and all of that stuff. So
Jesus,
yeah, so that's already been exploited. on top of the insane damage, on top of the fact that assists in general in this game are broken because they don't have a cooldown. Like, as soon as the character does their assist and leaps off the screen, you can do it again. Like, there's no cooldown for assists, and assists are broken as fuck, dude. So, yeah, this game is beta. This game was beta as fuck. Like, they need to work on a lot of shit to, like, make it viable.
But isn't it, like, out soon?
Yeah, it's out next month. In less than a month. It's out it's out June 5th. It's out in less than a month. And yeah, they need to really do some work with that. But I will say the presentation is great.
Well, hopefully this isn't like the final balance patch. I don't know.
I hope not.
Being a beta.
I hope not, because if the damage sticks, then that it's at Evo this year, so that tournament is going to be so short. They're going to have to have like best 4 out of 7 matches. Because seriously, it's like 15, 20 seconds max. That is a match right there. So
okay,
they got to fix that damage. They got to fix those assists. They got to fix all of those glitches too. But again, the presentation is awesome. I really enjoy a lot of the characters. The fact that they're kind of homogenous now makes it a little easier to understand like their games and where they come from. But at the same time, like if you're used to playing like the respective games that the characters are from, then it's going to be like kind of like jarring for you, because like there are certain moves that you could do manually in their respective games, but you have to do it. Basically, the only way you can get that move to come out is in an auto combo. So it's just like, yeah. So the whole dumbing down approach is, yeah, it's kind of dumb, but they want to appeal to the more casual audiences. They want more people to play, but
yeah.
Then again, like I said before, there is depth to this game. It's like, it reminds me of like a cross between Persona 4 Arena and Dragon Ball, where Dragon Ball can get deeper, but it's very easy to pick up. Whereas Persona 4 was deep as fuck, but on the surface, the game also had auto combos and only 2 attack buttons. 2 attack buttons per character. But it seems basic as fuck on the surface, but like it's super, 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 super deep once you understood how the game worked. It's like the whole, it's so simple, it's genius. Yeah, only 2 attack buttons, but how many combinations of shit can you do?
Right.
2 attack buttons, 2 persona buttons. That's a lot of shit. That's a lot of shenanigans that can happen.
That's how I think of a Virtua Fighter.
Yeah.
Only 3 buttons.
But the shit you can do with those 3 buttons.
Goddamn.
Yep. Yeah.
So complex.
That's how Persona was. And BlazBlue only 4 buttons. Guilty Gear only 4 buttons, but combinations of all of those things, you can do so much. So it's like the whole less is more. So yeah, and I just got the feeling that this game is going to not really be taken as seriously as like other fighting games on the market. I also feel that with the whole DLC thing. Oh, speaking of the DLC thing, so I was made very happy recently that there was a leak with this game, and there were certain characters that were data mined and found that are going to be coming to this game.
Okay.
One of those characters is Akihiko from Persona 4. Well, Persona 3.
Boy.
But that's my boy. That's that's honestly one of my favorite fighting game characters ever. And he's going to be in this game. And I'm like, he is perfect for this fucking game. And if he's in this game and Yang from Ruby is going to be in this game as DLC, I've already got my squad. And I don't care. But the thing is, I'm going to have to wait. I'm going to have to wait for a long time for them to actually like make it out. So yeah, it definitely won't be in time for Evo, but still, I'm happy that they're going to be released. So yeah, I don't really have much more to say about BlazBlue Cross Tag. Like I said, it looks great. It looks great. It plays okay, but this is a beta, so I'm hoping that they fix a lot of shit. Presentation is really nice all around. The systems are, again, once you get deeper into the game, you'll start to understand the systems more and how they work. Like they have resonance blades, which is the comeback mechanic of the game. They have, the cross assault. They have like the different assist types. They have, there's another type of thing like defense that they have. Oh, that's another fucking glitch with the game. You can burst constantly, like constantly. Like basically, nice. And when you burst, if you're caught in a combo, you get a free like mix up out of it. You get a free attack out of it. So the online play devolved into like people waiting for you to hit them, and then they burst, and then they get the opportunity to do a full combo on you for free.
Jeez.
You know, so if you're trying to like be honorable and play correctly, and people are just exploiting the fucking the fucking mechanic that is obviously not supposed to be the way it is.
Fell for the old rope-a-dope.
Yep. So that's what online devolved into after a while. And I played a few matches and I won most of them, but then I started noticing that, and I'm like, oh my god. And I'm like, this is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. But the game is fun. I will say that it's fun, and hopefully once it comes out, they fix a lot of things. It'll be, people will start to explore it a little more and get deeper into it. But I'm honestly thinking that this game isn't going to really like do too well, like as is, especially with all that DLC, and they're going to take their time probably bringing those characters out.
And it feels super niche. I don't know how well the BlazBlue games have done before, but it seems like it kind of caters to a specific part of the
specific crowd. Yeah. I mean, BlazBlue. The only reason BlazBlue was made, basically the only reason BlazBlue was made was because Arc Systems lost the license to Guilty Gear for a while because Sega still owned it, and so they made BlazBlue because they wanted to do another Guilty Gear, but they couldn't. Right. So BlazBlue exists for that reason, and BlazBlue been a really good game. But again, it started to. I think at first it was like at its most popular, but then it started kind of like appealing to the niche crowd of like anime fighters only.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, you've played different versions of this game in the past. Have you seen any like major changes over the course of development? Anything that sticks out?
Yeah, they I was actually talking to Chad about this the other day, but they did a lot. They fixed a lot from the previous build because in the previous build, the one I played at Comic-Con, they literally didn't have God, what button was it? There was like one button that they didn't. Oh, there was no DP. There was no DP command. Like, so everybody can do a DP of sorts. It's a command, though. It's not like a motion, not like Shoryuken motion. So it's basically square and X or whatever the equivalent of those two buttons are. So if you do that, that's like your reversal, which is like Persona 4 Arena. That's where they got that from. And in the New York Comic-Con build, they literally didn't have a DP. And also, they weren't... Also, I don't think in that build that you could do assists with characters yet.
Yeah, okay.
So that's a major change that they had.
Right.
That was there. But yeah, that's what I remember. That's at least what I remember. There's probably a couple other things that they added. Oh yeah, no resonance blaze either. That definitely wasn't there.
Okay.
The comeback mechanic, that definitely was not there in the Comic-Con build.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah. So they added a lot, but then they needed to. The damage was also a lot better, scaled a lot better in that build, the Comic-Con build, because this damage is stupid. And then the more obvious, they didn't have like all the characters that they had in this build that they did in that one. Because at that point, it was only like the 4 characters that they had announced at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So not 4, it was like 4 or 6, like 6 characters that they had announced at the time. So, yep.
Wow. Yep. Sounds like it's come a long way.
Yeah, it has, but it needs to come a longer way in less than a month. And I don't know.
Yeah.
They've got some work to do. And I will say that the lobby system is at least better than Dragon Ball's. Like, they have like the same like lobby system style, but they actually have like menus that you can open up in the lobby, so it has like an arcade mode, training mode, all of that stuff. Like, you can open that up like anywhere in the lobby.
Okay.
And, you could just do that. Whereas Dragon Ball, it's like, nope, none of that. You got to walk over to your mode
or teleport. You could do that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a fun game. I see myself having a lot of fun with it, but I don't see myself taking it seriously. Some of the characters are pretty awesome, though. They're gonna have to nerf like Gordeau. They're gonna have to nerf Ruby Rose as well. She's like stupid.
Okay.
But she's so good. Her moves are like awesome. Weiss, I really like controlling Weiss. Also, she controls like I feel like she should control, and I really like that about her. But she's not my favorite Ruby character.
Okay.
But those are the only two you got to use anyway. So, but yeah, that's about all I can say about BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. I'm just excited for my DLC characters, man. Oh my god, I can't wait.
Even if the meta doesn't favor those guys, that's going to be your team.
I never really cared for that stuff anyway. I don't care if the meta doesn't favor the characters I use. I use characters because I like them.
Okay.
Not because I use them because I like them, and I do the best I can with them. So sometimes it just happens that characters I use are top tier.
Interesting.
That's great, but yeah, I don't follow that. I don't really care for that at all. If I did, I would have used Charlie in Street Fighter V first season, or I would have used I did use Balrog though second season. Because Balrog was ridiculous.
Yeah,
but I just like boxers. But yeah, that's all I got on BlazBlue Cross Tag. I say if you are interested in it at all, yeah, give it a shot. But if you really don't care for that kind of game, those type of anime fighters, I'd say skip it, because it's not it's not deep. It's not that deep unless you're really willing to go into it.
Right.
So yeah. All right. So I guess that's all for what we've been playing this week.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to move into headlines. And as always, go to innercitygeeks.com right now so you can follow along with us. So the first headline is a kind of an interesting thing that might be a thing, but maybe not. So the headline is, reselling your digital games will soon be a reality. But what does that mean? So there's this thing called blockchain, which has the potential to track digital transactions in games. And blockchain is it's the technology behind Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and things like that. And it has the potential to track digital transactions, like I just said. And that potentially means that you have the opportunity to resell digital games. And now you hear that and you're like, holy shit, finally. I don't have to waste all this money on a game. I don't have to pay full price for a game or hope that it goes on sale at maybe at most 50% off or 70% off, but I'm still stuck with the game. Necessarily, that might be the case. It might not be the case. It's kind of iffy. So there's a new I should say Steam competitor called Robot Cash. And it's basically going to, it's just like Steam, but you get to resell the games that you buy. Thing is, unlike selling physically used games at GameStop back to GameStop, the publisher has full control over what you can sell back in this case. And also there's the fact that publishers also have to get on board with Robot Cash to actually allow you to sell those particular games back to them. So it might start off with a limited number of games that you can buy in order to sell, and then it could grow from there, depending on how many publishers, I should say, sign up. So it's a really kind of muddy, murky situation, but the main point is that you can possibly maybe sell your games back with using this Steam equivalent. And then there's the whole how much you can get back for the game, and then there's licensing involved, and it's a really, really like gray area with this. But I mean, the potential is there, and I mean, Steam has their refund policy, which is something. But, you know, again, with like most refund policies, it's for a limited time after you buy the game, and you can only have played the game for, I think, up to 2 hours before, you know, in order for you to be eligible for you to sell the game.
But they also have like the infrastructure to sell things to other players. Like the Steam Marketplace, you can sell all kinds of gaming related things, not games themselves, but other digital stuff through the marketplace, like those I forget what they're called, those little like Steam cards that you get from playing games. You can sell any of those on the marketplace for like a few
like
cents.
The stickers. Yeah.
Man, I was like, when PUBG came out, like a lot of the things that you got there, you could sell them on the marketplace too, and those sold for pretty good money. That was dope. But yeah, like they kind of could do it, but again, the problem is getting the games makers, the publishers, the wheelers and dealers
to be on board with this, and that's the hard part. That's the hard part. That's basically like the biggest hurdle, you know. And then even if they are on board with it, then you only get a certain amount back, and even then, it's like, well, at that point, would it be worth it? Like this article gives like a good example of like, you know, if you sell this game, if you bought this game for $10 from said developer, said publisher, and you try to sell the game back, you'd only be able to get 25% back, so it's $250. And then but you're like, where's the other 75% going? Well, 70% goes back to the developer, or they get to keep that 70%, and then 5% goes to the engine that you're using to sell the game back. And then there's a giant like criteria that you have to meet, a lot of criteria that you have to meet apparently in order to be able to sell a game back. And then so it's a start to something, but I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like this is a very long time away from now, if it ever happens.
Yeah, it's definitely a long way off from like, you know, just like, you know, getting physical games in order to just be able to sell them back to GameStop. And I mean, even GameStop will give you like a lot more than that, even though people have jokes like, oh, you bought this game for $70, I'll give you 5 cents for it, you know. but at
least with like GameStop, they don't have to deal with the publisher anymore when they're buying a used copy. I mean also with GameStop, it's like basically the reason that they're still in business right now is that like I think it's like 66% of GameStop's profit margin comes off of used games. Yeah.
You know, used game sales and used game trade-ins, you know, and it's definitely like the better option right now, but you know, this is definitely a long way off from that, from that, because the publisher is involved, like pretty much they have like all the control over like however, like what games can be sold back and like how much you get back and all of that stuff. So
yeah,
I don't know. What do you think about this? Anything you want to add to this? The article goes into a lot of detail, and I didn't want to like kind of like, you know, go too far into the weeds with this, but it is an interesting read, especially if you're kind of like, you know, pushing for something like this to be more of a reality, I should say.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's an interesting idea, but yeah, at least for now, it's still. We gotta crawl before we can walk, and gotta walk before we can run, and it's gonna take a while, if anything, to make progress on this kind of thing. But yeah, it's I would love for that to happen. You know, you could just sell stuff and buy stuff directly from other people, especially digital games. But yeah, it's there's a very complicated web that people need to navigate, and I don't know. I don't expect anything anytime soon, if at all.
Not anytime soon. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not expecting.
But here's hoping.
You know, years before something breaks through, and then even then, it could potentially like just fall through.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But, all right. So moving along. So in our next headline, Sony details their PlayStation E3 2018 showcase. So they're going. So Sony E3's. Their E3 showcase this year will take place on June 11th at 6 p.m. Pacific, and it will have a major focus on 4 upcoming games, and those 4 games are Spider-Man, Death Stranding, The Last of Us Part 2, and I believe Ghost of Tsushima. So another thing is that apparently it's not known yet if Sony will do a live on-stage press conference as it's done in the past. Because they're saying we're taking a different kind of we're taking a different kind of angle on how we're bringing it out this year. So I don't know. That's kind of Sony's like one of the biggest. It's like one of the biggest conferences, probably the biggest conference there, and it's just that's weird for them to kind of like go into in a direction of maybe like a Nintendo, the way Nintendo's been doing it or Square's been doing it. Square is trying to do it as well, and that's kind of major. But yeah, they're also going to highlight, obviously highlight games from third parties that are teaming up with the publisher and their independent studios that are going to be bringing some games out. But they also confirmed there will be no hardware announcements during the show, so no Vita 2 or PS5 for those hopefuls out there.
Nope.
People need to wait a little longer for that. And but yeah, that's about it for that. Do you have anything to say or add?
Nah, not really. It is strange though. They are saying. Well, I guess the things that they listed here in the article are pretty obvious for like things that they would talk on. Although it wouldn't have surprised me if they just didn't show anything on The Last of Us 2, because apparently when they first talked about it, it was like, oh, it's super early in development. It's going to take a while, so I wouldn't be surprised if they took like a year off from showing anything of the game. But hey, they're going to show more. Sure, why not? But yeah, I'm just curious how or what changes with the way they present their press conference, because it seems like the past couple of years, everyone has been trying to figure out what to do with E3, how they handle what they announce and how they announce it, and I don't know, it just feels like everybody wants to get the hell out of E3 at this point.
Yeah. All right, so next up, the rumor, new Splinter Cell, Rage 2, Gears of War 5, and more outed in retail listing. So Walmart Canada might have messed up, and they might have put out some listings of games that aren't even announced yet, and this might be a reality because retailers kind of this has happened before with other games, and yeah, this hopefully, I don't know, maybe it might be real, but yeah. So
some of them are confirmed to be real, so who knows?
Some of them are, yeah. Some of them are. And so, like I said before, some of the new games are Splinter Cell, Rage 2, Lego DC Villains, Gears of War 5, a new Assassin's Creed, Just Cause 4. Then there's like the announced games like The Division 2, Beyond Good and Evil 2, Last of Us 2, FF7 Remake. Yeah, that's a lot of listings. They also include the new Super Smash Bros. For the Switch. Still unconfirmed if it's a port or a new game. And yeah, that's I mean, especially with the event being less than a month away, I don't know. It looks like they might have like jumped the gun, and now the surprise announcements by the publishers at the conferences are going to be like, well, yeah, people already know.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Especially in this day and age. Everything is going to get leaked eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, with this age of information, it's kind of nuts, man.
I was kind of surprised, like, some people were, like, legitimately upset that, like, oh my god, you ruined the E3 surprises. I'm like, really? That's what you're getting upset about? About, like, an announcement? You're getting, like, people are treating it like a spoiler for E3. I'm like, wow, this is getting a little ridiculous.
Yeah, people are crazy.
Yeah,
just need to chill sometimes.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that is plausible. Rage 2 was confirmed basically by the Rage PR because they were, tweeting out stuff like poking fun at a lot of the leaks, like, hey, you didn't use the right key art on this box art and shit. Basically saying like, hey, this is happening, and they've since like released teaser trailers and stuff for that. So I don't know, it's cool. Kind of excited to see what Destiny Comet turns out to be. Which is strange they use that name because I've seen that name before in reference to like other expansions for that game. Like, but I had always assumed it was like tentative name, not an actual thing. So I don't know if they actually are going to use that name for something, or if it's just like another code title for whatever they're doing next, the next expansion of that game, or is it an old idea that they're bringing back to the fore? But. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting things. A lot of it seems like, yeah, of course that's going to show up. But I'm curious how many of those come to fruition, especially that Final Fantasy VII thing. Is that going to come out anytime soon?
I think I was reading somewhere, I'm not sure if we talked about it here, but that got delayed. So, not this year. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. But they might have an announcement about it at least.
Yeah, but they always like to have like pre-order pages up early or as soon as possible anyway.
Yeah. Just get those people buying. But, alright, cool. So, SNK apparently is trying to get into the mini console market. And they revealed the Neo Geo Mini, and it's going to be a mini arcade console that is going to house 40 games, and it's also going to have like an HDMI port for hooking it up to your TV. It's also going to have external controller ports, which is interesting, and the 40 game lineup hasn't been announced fully, but there are confirmed games like Metal Slug, Samurai Showdown 2, King of Fighters 97 and 98, Real Bout Fatal Fury 2, and they also haven't announced the price or release date for this unit. And it's also going to be released in 2 different styles, a la the SNES Mini. There's going to be one for the Asian markets and one for everyone else. And the Asian market one is going to have the colored buttons, the yellow, red, blue, and green colored buttons. And it's also going to have like a red, white, and blue bezel. Whereas the one for everyone else is going to be gray and blue. And that's pretty much it. Yellow, a little bit of yellow in there too. But yeah. Are you interested in this at all?
No, because I think it looks terrible.
But you could hook it up to your TV. So.
Yeah, and I'm curious about the external controller thing because the way it's shipped, it has like a little mini joystick and like buttons, like a little tiny arcade. But that looks like some Fisher Price ass shit, and that does not look like it's gonna withstand the full brunt of what I would do to something like that.
Yeah, it does kind of look plasticky.
Yeah, as a standalone thing, I'm like, no, that looks like a bad idea, and I don't know. It seems like way bigger than it needs to be because of that. Because it's like they're trying to make it like an arcade thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
and I guess they had to kind of differentiate themselves from Nintendo's and soon to be Sega's mini products, mini consoles. So
yeah, like it's cool. I guess it has its own screen, but I don't. It just feels unnecessary, and yeah, it looks too much like a little toy. I'm gonna break it.
It does look cheap. I will say that it definitely looks cheap.
Yeah, but yeah, like the main thing is like, what controllers do you get with it, or can you use with it? Is it going to be like a universal thing, or is it going to be?
I don't think you get controllers
specific?
At all. I think it's literally just that.
Right.
It's just the joystick and buttons.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be separate, but I'm curious, like if it's going to be a proprietary thing.
There. Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping at least for the most part, I'm hoping that it's something that's like that you can hook anything up in there.
But, yeah, like a USB controller or something.
Right. But, yeah, I don't know.
You're the bigger SNK fan. What about you? What are you thinking?
I like it, but the thing is, it's been done already. There's a console out there called the Neo Geo X, I think it's called.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And it's a handheld. It's basically a handheld Neo Geo system. Like it looks a lot like I want to say it looks like a cross between the Neo Geo Pocket and the 3DS, but without the second screen.
Okay.
And I mean, that's not only does that system hold more games, it also has the HDMI included. You don't really need another controller, but if you wanted to use another controller, you could. It has a USB port inside it, and it's also extremely hackable. Uh-huh. So you could play like a friend of mine put like X-Men versus Street Fighter on that thing.
Wow, sacrilege!
Fully running X-Men versus Street Fighter, not like the PlayStation version or anything. But yeah, like it's completely hackable. And the thing is, I think the only thing that would set these two things apart, besides obviously the way they look and the way they're built, but the price. That Neo Geo X is stupid expensive. It's something like north of $300.
Jeez.
So, but I mean, imagine back in the day, the Neo Geo games themselves were that price,
right?
So, I mean, if you invested, you could just get a Neo Geo X. I don't think it's in production anymore, but you could just get a Neo Geo X, and you don't really have to get this Neo Geo Mini. It's just another thing. Mm-hmm. But I dig the arcade look. I like the fact you could hook it up to your TV. Thing is, these games are, without saying too much, these games are very much available to play elsewhere.
Yeah.
And same thing with SNES Mini, NES Mini, and so on. But people are just trying to cash in on that nostalgia. And yeah,
why not?
Yeah, I guess it's fine, but I'm not gonna get it. There's no reason for me to, but it's nice.
All right.
Nice. I guess people who really like the whole old arcade style of Neo Geo can appreciate it. So, all right, cool. And so moving on to our last headline. So, Boss Key Games shuts down. Unfortunately, they're for those who don't know Boss Key, they're the people behind Radical Heights and Lawbreakers, which Lawbreakers was supposed to be a kind of a big game for them last year. Apparently, it didn't do so well.
Yeah, company famously started by Cliff Bleszinski.
Right? Gears of War, Unreal,
Jazz Jackrabbit.
Yeah. He also said that Lawbreakers failed to gain traction, and Radical Heights was described as too little, too late, and so he posted on Twitter official notice that Boss Key Productions is no more, and this was a few days ago as you're listening to this, and that's about it for that, unfortunately.
Damn.
And it seems at the bottom of this article too, it says, ironically, Fortnite was first announced by Bleszinski at the Spike Video Game Awards in 2011.
Jesus.
And it was
forever ago.
Yeah. And the thing is, it was Fortnite that the studio tried to follow in its footsteps with Radical Heights.
Yeah.
And that, Fortnite and PUBG had already been doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, and Radical Heights was just something that just got crushed under the weight. So
it's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. But I don't know. Anything to add? Are you kind of feeling it, or are you kind of feeling bad about this, or
I feel a little bad
it to happen.
I feel like it came sort of as a surprise too, because Radical Heights was so new. They literally just launched that thing maybe a month ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I should have seen the writings on the wall, especially in the state that game was released. It was super early access, very broken, a lot of stuff not built in. It was they just put it together as fast as they could and put it out there just as fast. And Yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't enough, as they said. But yeah, it sucks. I don't know. Cliff seems like cool people. He's been around forever and has done cool shit, and it sucks that,
that Gears of War is pretty dope.
Yeah, it just sucks that, Lawbreakers didn't hit like he wanted to. I don't know if it's just a missed opportunity or what, but I don't know. I hope we see more from him in the future, because he's a
hopefully.
Yeah,
they'll bring like the next big thing, the next big Gears type game.
Yeah, but we'll see how he feels, I guess, once he's taking some time off and thinks about what's next for his life.
Yeah. But all right, so that's going to do it for headlines for this week. And Alex is going to go ahead and take us through new and upcoming releases. So please go ahead.
Yep. So for this week, the week of May 18th, we've got Hitman Definitive Edition.
Oh, shit.
For the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I believe that's just a physical release. Maybe there's a digital version as well. But yeah, definitive. Not Game of the Year edition. Now it's definitive. Buy that game because it's fucking dope. Also out this week is A Semblance Oversight for the PlayStation 4. Surprised this is out already because I had played the first A Semblance thingy, and they'd always described it as sort of an anthology series. So I'm curious what the next chapter in this anthology is all about. We've also got Battle Chasers Night War. It's finally making its way to the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, damn, it's about time.
Seems like a perfect thing. Like they should have just done that from the beginning, but yeah, I don't know, it's been in development for a while.
Yeah, they tried to, but they kept like pushing the date back and pushing it back and pushing it back, and then here we are.
We're finally here.
Yeah.
We've also got this week The Mystery of the Hudson Case for the Nintendo Switch. Animal Super Squad for PS4. Azure Reflections for PlayStation 4. Dragon's Crown Pro for PS4. Forgotten Anne for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Goner for PS4. Horizon Chase Turbo for both PS4 and PC. Little Witch Academia, Chamber of Time for PS4 and PC. Magic Knight Grand Charion for PS4. Monster Slayers for the PS4. Omen Sight for PS4. Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux for the 3DS. The Adventures of Elena Temple for the Switch. The Council Episode 2 for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Walden, a game, for PlayStation 4. Welcome to Hanwell for PS4. Wizard of Legend for Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Lily's Epic Quest for Lost Gems for the Xbox One. Far Lone Sails for the PC. Framed Collection for the Switch. The Banner Saga is out now for the Switch. And White Knight, also out now for the Switch. And we've got a couple of Friday releases this week as well, such as Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition for the Nintendo Switch. State of Decay 2 Ultimate Edition will be out on Friday for the Xbox One. Again, that is the more expensive version of the game if you cannot wait until next week, but the base game of State of Decay 2 will be out on Tuesday as well. But on the other hand, the Ultimate Edition is only $50, whereas the standard version is $30. So maybe that might tilt the scales into getting it now because it is cheaper than a full price game. Also on Friday is Monster Slayers for the Xbox One. Little Nightmares Complete Edition for the Switch. And finally for Friday, Henry the Hamster Handler for the Switch. Who says alliteration is dead? But that's going to do it for all our new releases this week.
All right. So thank you for that. And with that, we are done with this episode. So before we officially go, we would like you to visit InnerCityGeeks.com, which is where we are and where we have a bunch of stuff sometimes regarding everything geek. You can go to our YouTube channel and kind of listen to the show there if you want to. It's just another place you can listen to the show.
Technically, it is the best sounding version of the show, if that's the thing you care about.
Technically, yes, it is. Mm-hmm. It is. It's the most raw. Yeah, if you're into sound editing, that's better. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and the YouTube channel itself is Good Games Podcast, and you can subscribe while you're there, listening to the best sounding version of this show. You can also listen to us on iTunes, where you can leave us a review. That's the best thing that you can do for us, because you could just let us know how we're doing, and we can adjust accordingly depending on if you think we're great or you think we suck and stuff like that. You can also basically listen to us where all podcasts are available to be listened to. And I also want to encourage everyone that if you're going to do any kind of Amazon shopping, to go to innercitygeeks.com first and then click on that Amazon banner that you see on the right-hand side of the page. Then it'll take you to Amazon like you originally intended to go, and then buy whatever it is you're going to buy. And a little bit of that will come back towards us so we can provide more show and more content just for you. You can reach us on all the social media outlets, mainly Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Inner City Geeks. The Twitter for this show is at Good Game Podcast. And you can also email us at goodgamespodcast@gmail.com. And that's going to about do it for this episode. Thanks for listening, everybody, as always. And in leaving, we say, good games, everybody.
Good games.